Hi, campers, and welcome back. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. Here's the deal. Today, by the way, Wednesday, April Fool's Day. I got no jokes. I'm not that kind of guy. No, no, very serious, stoic. Okay, so here's the deal. Wednesday, new information for Chapter 4. Uh, we're uh, we're going to look at the uses of words inside our relationships. All right, so there's that. Now remember that Friday there'll be a test. Some of the stuff today is going to be on the test. So if I were you, again, the pause button, the rewind button, and if I get too wordy, the fast forward button. No, 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 don't do that. No, stop. Okay, so here's the deal. The uses of words in our relationships, and there is some questions on the test on Friday. All right, so let's go through this as new information for Chapter 4. All right, there are 6 different uses of words in our relationship. And I'm going to juxtapose these in different colors here on the magic whiteboard. The stuff that's up there in blue is going to be good for your relationships. Okay, do this in your relationships. If you want to have better best friends, and you want to have that great relationship with that future soulmate that we'll talk about in chapters 9 and chapter 10, the stuff in blue, all right? The stuff in red, man, I tell you what, makes friendships crash and burn. Really does. All right, will divide us, will really, quite frankly, end relationships if it goes on long enough. So the stuff in blue, do. The stuff in red, avoid. All right, here, I couldn't think of a rhyming word for red except dead, okay, or head, bed. Oh, God, I wish I could be back in bed. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's go to the magic whiteboard. All right. Look what I have for you today. Okay, I have a teaching tool. Okay. Whee! The stick. Okay. All right. Look. Take a look. All right. On the magic. On the magic. Oh, come on. Bring in the whiteboard. Would you? Thank you. Thank you so much. On the magic whiteboard, you can see in red and in blue the uses of words in our relationship. Now, really, quite frankly, we'll start at the top, but man, I have to bring you back to some terrible days for some of us. I have to bring you back to the hellish quagmire that is middle school. Because in middle school is where we learned a great deal about the stuff in the red up on the board. We learned either how to exclude people or to feel excluded ourselves. We learned how to put people down, or we were put down, or both. We learned how to hide or conceal ourselves so that really nobody knew exactly who we were or what we were thinking. I know the stuff in red, has been either practiced by you or practiced on you, and I don't want to bring you back to those really sad times, but we're gonna have to dip our toes into that pond. All right, let's start at the top. To include people or to exclude people in our relationship. Using words to include people. Now, we know how to exclude people using words, right? We know how to, put them down or exclude them from a conversation. Like Tony wasn't at the big thing. Tony wasn't at the big deal that all you guys were at last night. Let's make it the races at Elko Speedway. Tony didn't go, all right? We know using our words. And let's pretend Tony's walking into the Commons. You're all in a big circle, and you have 5 students with you that were at the big race, the big Elko Speedway thing. You're all excited because oh man, oh, cars and crash and burn, fire. So you're all excited and you're talking about the race, and here comes Tony, who wasn't there. To exclude Tony, look at the red, to exclude Tony from the conversation. We say things like, "Oh, Tony, you wouldn't get it. You weren't even there." Or we say things like, "Hey, dude, you're not a car guy. You'll never understand this. You're a computer. All you do is game, Tony." Okay, listen. We know how to exclude Tony, but there are some hints, and I really strongly think you should take these hints if you want to keep Tony as a friend. All right? So here's hint number 1. To include Tony in the conversation. First, recap. Recap the day. Say, go backwards in the conversation and start at the very beginning. Okay, Tony, you ought to have been here. Here's what happened first. Here's what happened. Oh, and then at the end of the race, crash, burn, fire. All right, so there's that. First of all, to include Tony in a conversation with words, you want to recap the whole event. Okay. The second thing you can do for Tony is to explain the jargon to him. Explain the jargon. Okay, like Tony doesn't know the difference between a sprint car and Formula One. All right, it's all race jargon. So when Tony's eyes start to glaze over based on the jargon, it's up to you to explain the jargon to Tony. And then the most important one up there, the most important thing you can do to include somebody in a conversation is to link it to something Tony knows. Link it to something Tony knows. For instance, you can do this like, Tony, I know you're not a car guy, and I know you weren't at the big race at Elko, but dude, your favorite video game is like Grand Theft Auto. Cars, chasing cars, going around, crash, burn, fire, okay? Tony, it's just like Mario Kart. There we go, Mario Kart. Okay, so sorry. So the very last thing to include somebody in a conversation using your words to keep them your friend is to change the subject. Let's pretend Tony's eyes are just glazing over. He doesn't have a clue, right? And honestly, you've tried. Then you look at Tony and you say, "Hey, Tony, listen. I know you weren't there last night. What did you do? Where were you? What was happening?" Okay? All right. So to include Tony, make sure that you're using those tricks. We know how to exclude Tony. It's like, dude, you would never get it. You're not a car guy. All right. Let's talk about building people up and putting people down. Once again, in that hellish quagmire that was middle school, I believe we all became acquainted with the put downs. Well acquainted with how to either put people down or we tried putting people down ourselves. Thank God we have all grown out of that, right? Right? Thank God we have all grown out of that. To keep your friends, build them up, undergird them, support them. Look, it's in blue. Here's the deal. Let's pretend Tina is doing her speech, and her speech is on, shells and the creatures of the sea, and she brings her shell collection to the front of the room. Let's pretend that Tina is a little disorganized and she's shuffling through the box of shells. Let's pretend they spill all over and she has to scoop them up. You have 2 choices at this particular point. You can use your words when Tina is done with the speech. You can use your words to build her up. "Oh, it wasn't that bad. No worries, Tina, you did a great job. Hey, you know what? It happens to all of you." You can use your words to build her up. Or You can use your words to slam her, put her down, make fun of her, really make her feel, disrespected as a human being. You can devalue her with your words. You can slam her and oppress her with your words. Putting people down, or the put downs that we're used to, really, quite frankly, my friends, if I could snap my fingers and make something in this world go away, it would be that. Undergird each other, push each other skyward, stop the oppression, stop cutting people down to put yourself, one rung higher on the proverbial ladder. All right, take a look at the other ones that are still up on the list. To reveal yourself and conceal yourself. Now, these are going to come back in chapter 8 in a big way when we talk about self-disclosure. You need, in your friendships, to show your friends who you are. They need to know the real you. And man, are we going to pound this home in chapter 8 and chapter 9. And then again in chapter 10 when we show you all of the stages of relationships and how to keep that best friend or soulmate relationship working for you. You need to use your words to reveal yourself or to show your friends who you really are. All right? And honestly, quite frankly, that means you need to talk. You need to talk to them about who you are. You need to talk to them about your day. You need to talk to them about why you're angry. You need to talk to them about what makes you so filled with angst or happiness. What pleases you. You just need to talk to them, to use your words, your verbiage, I almost said, to show them who you truly are. Take off the mask that we're going to introduce you to in chapter 8, 9, and 10. Take off the mask and show your best friends with your words who you really are. Dudettes, listen, they deserve that. They deserve that, or they will fall in love with a fake you, the facade. And man, when we're in 11th grade and 12th grade, we're hiding behind some masks. Trust me on this. Use your words with your best friends to take those masks off and reveal yourself, or you can hide. Conceal yourself. You can hide. You can say things like, I don't want to talk about it. Or you can say things like, well, it's not that big a deal, when it really is. You can say things like, yeah, I'm having a great day, when you're really not. Okay? My suggestion is that you use your words to show your friends, your partners, your soulmates, who you truly are. All right, there we go. The uses of words in a relationship. Don't forget the tricks to include Tony in a conversation, even though he wasn't at the big deal. All right? Because that's important. That's important. Okay, so are the 6 uses of words. Campers, more on chapter 4 later in life. Until then, just hang out, do your school, do you, have fun. Keep your stick on the ice, like I said yesterday. I don't even know what that means.